Thank you so much. When Hugh invited me to talk about gratitude and generosity, I asked if I could just take a dive into that and see what came up for me. And originally the request was around the work that my organization does with entrepreneurs in rural communities, in which gratitude and generosity are certainly some of the core values that come out in those organizations. But as I kept living with the question, I realized that I didn't really want to talk about generosity or gratitude, but rather I wanted to talk about what is the environment, what is the internal and external environment that needs to be created in order for generosity and gratitude to thrive and prosper. So tonight, I want to talk about 3 practices in which gratitude and generosity flourish personally. And this journey started in 1975. And if you're wondering what that is, it's a sperm and an egg. Because in 1975, I had 2 really amazing experiences in my life. One, I experienced conception. The night that that sperm hit that egg, I knew that I had created life. The other thing that happened in 1975 is that I experienced a spiritual emergence, which a lot of people will call a nervous breakdown. And though it might be perceived as a curse to have a nervous breakdown, there were actually many, many blessings in that experience. One is that that little being that was starting to be created in my body experienced enough Thorazine to take down a horse, because I'd been diagnosed as hypermanic, which my psychologist told me was the best diagnosis you could possibly get, because you're really fun and you don't have to sleep and you're high energy and you're really fun to be around. The other is that I got pumped full of a lot of Thorazine to bring me down from that. And I wish I could remember what Kate Blanchett called it in Blue Jasmine, but 8 electric shock treatments followed. And so that little being that was being created had the shaman's experience at a cellular level. And let me tell you that the being that I had the privilege to deliver on the planet is an absolutely marvelous creature. And she's here with me tonight, and I'm fully convinced that part of the reason for that is that she had that shaman's experience. The other gift in that was that none of the Thorazine or the lithium or the talk therapy or the electric shock, none of that moved me out of my hypermanic space. What finally got me grounded was a crazy book. I mean, it's a blue cover, it's written in circles and stuff, by Ram Dass, called Be Here Now. So one of the practices of being in a place of being able to receive generosity or receive gratitude and be generous is to be in the present moment. Now, you know, that's really hard. If you think about this is the present moment, how many of us spend a whole lot of time in the past, thinking about what's happened, replaying the tapes, wishing we'd said something different, or we're in the future and we're thinking about what we're going to go do next, where you're going for dinner, blah, 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 blah. So I want to invite you to just take a moment, put both feet on the floor. Come with me now. Both feet on the floor, hands on your knees, face up if you like, straighten your back, sit forward on your seat just a little bit, close your eyes, and take a deep breath through your nose. And as you do that, be conscious of the sensation of the air coming in through your nostrils. And as you exhale, let go of any physical stress that you've walked in here with. Just let it go. And then take another breath in through your nose and feel the sensation of the air coming in. And as you exhale, let go of all the mind chatter that's going on about what you didn't get done at the office today, about what you're going to do next. Just let that go. And then breathe in through your nose and feel the sensation of the air coming in, and out through your mouth. And just feel the pressure of the seat on your butt and the floor on the bottom of your feet. And exhale and come into the present moment. Thank you. Welcome to TEDx! So nice of you to show up. Really grateful for that. You know, how many of you are driving the car and you're really here, right? You're really thinking about the past or you're thinking about the future. It is impossible to drive the car with consciousness. Or your kids trying to get your attention and talk to you, and you're thinking about what you got to do next. It is truly only from this spot, from the present moment, that we can touch each other, that we can connect with each other, that we can experience the moment, that we can be gifts to each other. A couple of tricks I have for doing that is people who know me will hear me, they'll ask, how's my day going? And I'll say, I'm just doing my dot to dot. I'm just on this dot, and then I'm going to be on the next dot, and then I'm going to be on the next dot. And some days those dots actually connect and I finish things, which is a really good day. A friend of mine used to love to do dishes because it was the one thing that he could start and finish in one day, right? But it's about being present. Another lovely trick to be present in the moment is just to do that sensory check-in. If I'm driving down the road and I notice that I'm not in the car, any of you drive down the road and not be in the car? Yeah. So it's about, okay, I feel the pressure of the seat. There's a green car. Okay, and I get, what does the steering wheel feel like on my hands? Just to bring myself consciously into the present moment. So the first practice about being in a personal space where we can experience gratitude or generosity is to be present in the moment. The second is to accept what is. You're going to see that these get progressively more challenging. There isn't a heck of a lot that we can do about what's going on around us, truth be told. The circumstances of our lives are pretty much out of our control around a lot of things. But if we can come to a place of, this is what is, it doesn't mean that you like it. It doesn't mean that it's good. It has nothing to do with judging the quality of the current moment. It's just coming to a place of, this is what is. And if we accept the what is of the moment, from there we have the opportunity to change it, to influence, to respond to what's going on in the circumstances around us. And that is really the one thing that we do have control over. You're all familiar with the serenity prayer, God grant me the wisdom to blah, 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 blah. It's because we have so little control, really, over the circumstances outside of us. In the 1980s, I came across a little book called Playing Ball on Running Water. And this book has changed my life. It's Morita therapy. It's a Japanese psychotherapy modality. But the premise is that our feelings are like running water, and we have no control over our feelings. None. Sometimes they're raging streams, sometimes they're waterfalls, sometimes they're stagnant ponds where, like nothing's happening. We have no control over that. The only thing we have control over is how we react or behave in those moments. One of the things that caught me and hooked me in that book was it was talking about being impatient. I'm a firstborn Taurus German, and I want things right now. I am not a patient person, but I can wait. I can wait. So if we can be present in the moment and acknowledge the facts around what's going on around us, it's a what is. And maybe that running water is making us just, we're feeling really angry. And we can go, anger is present. Isn't that interesting? Or sadness is present. Isn't that interesting? And from that place, extend ourselves into the world, to take action, to be generous, to recognize what's going on around us that we can be grateful for, the condition then for generosity and gratitude is enhanced. Now we're going to get to the really tough stuff. I contend that everything is a gift. Now, you may not recognize the gift in the moment, and it may take a long time for the gift to show up, but let me share a story. There was an old man who had an old horse. And that old man fed that old horse, and that horse was good for nothing. Nothing. Couldn't pull a plow, couldn't give ride to the kids anymore, couldn't do anything. And the villagers said, oh, what a curse, what a curse. And the old man said, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. All I know is I've got an old horse. Well, one day the old horse got out of the corral and took off across the prairie. And the villagers said, oh, what a blessing. The old horse is gone. You don't have to feed that old nag anymore. The old man said, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. All I know is that I don't have a horse. Well, in the spring, the old horse came across the top of the rise, and behind it was a whole herd of young Mustangs. And that old horse led that whole herd right into the corral, and the village was celebrating, and oh, what a blessing. The old man said, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. All I know is my old horse is back, and now I've got this whole lovely herd of old horses. Well, one day, the old man's son decided he was going to go out and he was going to break the orneriest of stallions in that herd. And he went out and he jumped on that horse and he rode valiantly. And he did really well, but not well enough, and he got thrown off and his leg got broken. And the villagers said, oh, what a curse. What a curse. And the old man said, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. All I know is that my son has a broken leg. Well, a couple of weeks later, the conscriptors showed up in the village and rounded up all the young men to take them off to war. And the villagers are lamenting because all of their sons are marching off, their brothers, their husbands are marching off to war. Oh, what a curse. The old man said, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. All I know is that my son is staying home. So it's hard to know in the moment whether what's going on in our lives is a blessing or a curse. And sometimes it takes a very long time for us to realize what those blessings might be. I have a very good friend who had a job he loved, was really happy in that job, and one day the chair of the board walked in out of the blue, handed him his pink slip, said, pack up and get out of here. And this young man had 4 daughters and a wife to support, and he's thinking, what a curse. I don't have a job. I got to support my family. What am I going to do? And I want you to know that today, that young man has demand for his services internationally because of his abilities to bring people together and have meaningful conversations and move their agendas forward. There's a woman I know who had a flat tire in the middle of winter. It's a blizzard, which we all know quite a lot about this year in South Dakota. Terrible blizzard, and she's got a flat tire, and she's out there changing the tire, and along comes this, and it's a curse. And the highway patrolman comes along and helps her change the tire. She'd never met this highway patrolman before. He's her husband now. Speaking of husbands, I know a man whose wife left him after 20 years of marriage. And he thought it was such a curse. But he got me, so I'm hoping that he's thinking it's a blessing.
It was.
In 1953, a 19-year-old single woman from a very small town in South Dakota got pregnant out of wedlock and went off to Sioux Falls to the house down on First Avenue where the house for unwed mothers was, and delivered this baby girl. And rather than leaving her and going back to the small town, which a lot of women did in that day and age, she took the little girl back to Parkston. And the village said, "What a curse. What a curse. What was she thinking?" Well, when that little girl was 11 months old, the woman married a guy who showed up at the farm of her parents. Mom thought that he was coming to sell her insurance, and he came to ask her out. And they got married and had a lovely family and a lovely life. And I wondered for my whole life, what was she thinking? What was she thinking? In 2010, my mother was diagnosed with ALS, with Lou Gehrig's disease. And at the time, I was blessed to be supported by my husband, by the amazing organization that I work for, to move back to Parkston and be with my mother for 4 months, and then I supported her for some time after that until she left the planet. And oh, the village said, "What a blessing. What a blessing that you could come and do that." The other thing, of course, is that we learned a lot, and now when my mouth gets dry, I know what I need to use to keep my mouth wet when I'm doing speeches and things, because we learned a lot about medical things. So if you are present in the moment and you're willing to accept what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you, and you're willing to entertain the possibility that no matter how uncomfortable, how horrendous it may look, that someday it will be blessing. As the Irish say, there are no unmixed blessings in life. You'll create an environment for generosity and gratitude. So I want you to know that I am present to you in body, mind, and spirit. Gratitude is present for your amazing generosity of your time and your attention. Thank you so much.